out his temples and sat on the couch. The faint glow of light from the kitchen grabbed his attention. He clenched his jaw knowing well wine was washing dishes. Wine? He almost growled and heard the clatter of the dishes. Wine swallowed hard and made her way to the living room. He could see her visibly trembling as she stood with a lowered head. "Look at me," he said in a dark tone. She nervously lifted her head. He stared at her timid eyes. "Bring me some water." She nodded and ran away as if she wanted to escape. Then let out a weary sigh. He couldn't understand why she was so scared of him. Her trembling at the sight of him was making him annoyed day by day. Wine came back with the glass of water and placed it on the coffee table. "Give it to me." She moved closer with trembling feet and handed him the glass. Thane's fingers brushed her hand. Wine gasped and pulled away her hand as if his touch burned her. The glass shattered on the floor while the water spilled on Thane's clothes. "What's wrong with you?" he yelled in frustration. Wine took several steps backwards. She dared not to meet his gaze. Sorry," she barely whispered on the verge of crying. Thane rubbed his temples and let out a sigh. "Go away." She hastily ran and disappeared into the shadows of the house. Thane leaned on the couch and closed his eyes. The next day, Thane asked the maid about Wine. She said Wine was running fever. He told her to take care of Wine and sent her the medicines. He came to his office without seeing Wine as he knew she might pass out seeing him in her room. Now Thane was sitting in his office with closed eyes, lost in deep thoughts. The door opened and someone barged in. "Hey dude, why did you come to the office? You arrived from your mission last night. You should have rest," Henry said as soon as he entered. "Keep that volume of yours low." He spoke without opening his eyes. Henry sat on the chair staring at him thoughtfully. "What happened? You seem tensed. Is it Wine again?" Thane drew a long breath and opened his eyes. "I just touched her hand slightly and today she's running a fever," he said in a low tone, staring at an invisible point. "Why don't you show her to a psychologist?" Thane looked at him with a dead stare. "Do you mean she's crazy?" he asked through gritted teeth and leaned forward. Henry shook his head. "Come on, Thane, who said only crazy people go to a psychologist? You know her since childhood. She has gone to the school so timidly. She doesn't have 0.5% of confidence. She can't respond to anyone or look into anyone's eyes. She trembles if any stranger just look at her. This is not normal. You must do something for her. After all, she's your stepsister." Thane cut in. "She's not my sister. She's just my responsibility." "Okay, fine, whatever she is to you, but you must do something for her. She can't just isolate herself in this house. She has to get married." And Thane cut in once more. "Just shut up, Henry. Go out of here. You're just pissing me off. Wine will not marry anyone. She will not get away from me. Keep that in your mind." Henry chuckled. "Sorry, I just touched the wrong syringe. Anyways, I suggest you to do her admission in a university. Tell her to continue her studies. This way, she might learn to socialize, gain self-esteem and confidence." Thane nodded. "You're right, but when I told her I would admit her to the university, she cried so badly. I don't want to see her like this. She can't even say no to the new maid when she asks her to wash the dishes just because that bloody maid threatened her with my name. Do the admission and order her to go. If you don't mind, I can talk to her as well." Thane nodded, leaning back on the chair. "Don't you dare to flirt with her. You know she is so innocent." Henry chuckled. "I know no one can resist her beauty, but I also know she is yours." Thane smiled, closing his eyes. Time skip. Thane did Wine's admission to the university and informed her. Henry also came to meet her. She cried and almost begged him to tell Thane not to send her to the university. Henry tried his best to motivate her, but her fear was the same. He drove her to the university, showed her around, and saved his phone number in her phone. He told her she could call him if there was any problem at the university and she was scared to call Thane. Wine has been going to the university university and 𝐻𝐟 is glad that she's getting used to it. Now 𝐻𝐟 arrived home after picking up wine from the university as the dean had called him urgently to take her away. 𝐻𝐟's blood boiled in rage as the dean's words rang in his mind. Mr. Kim, we have been observing Miss Wine since she came here. She always trembles, doesn't talk to anyone, she doesn't even respond if the professors ask her a question. At first we thought she might be nervous because she's new here, but now I think she needs to see a psychologist. Today a group of students approached her. The boys just joked with her and she began to cry. They tried to console her, but she began screaming to stay away from her and ran away like a mad woman. She surely has some mental problems. 𝐂𝐟𝐭𝐞𝐧 and glanced at Wine, who was almost running towards her bedroom. She had shed tears all the way home. Stop, Wine. His tone was calm yet dark. She stopped in her tracks. 𝐻𝐟 went and stood right in front of her. Why were you screaming and crying today? She shivered, lowering her head and stepped back. I asked you something. He raised his voice slightly and clenched his jaw, seeing her silent tears. Why the hell are you scared of me? Answer me, damn it. He growled, punching the wall while a sob escaped her mouth. She placed her hands on her ears. I'm asking you something. He grabbed her by the arms and shook her. Wine cried hysterically, shaking her head in denial. Leave, she barely said, trying to break free. Then answer my question. Everyone is saying you should be sent to mental asylum. What's wrong with you? Why are you so timid? He growled louder than before, and in a blink of an eye she went limp in his arms. Then swiftly held her and let out a deep breath. Why are you like this? He muttered, cradling her, and closed his eyes. Few days later, after that day, 𝐻𝐟 didn't come in front of Wine again. He talked to Henry about Wine's behavior and decided to appoint a psychologist for her. He informed the psychologist about Wine's behavior, and today was her first session. 𝐻𝐟 said he would be on the call with the doctor and hear everything, to which the psychologist agreed. Now, 𝐻𝐟 called the maid and told her to inform Wine that she had an appointment with the psychologist. Okay, sir. Listen, don't decline the call and keep the speaker on. Okay, sir. She did as he said and made her way to Wine's bedroom. She entered after knocking the door. Ma'am, sir said to inform you that you have an appointment with the doctor. Get ready, the driver will drop you. Wine swiftly shook her head in denial. Tell him I don't want to go, I'm not crazy, she said in a low tone. I would have sent you to mental asylum by now if you were crazy. Crazy people don't see psychologists. Wine flinched at his voice. The maid held the phone in front of her. Wine, if you don't want me to come there and take you there, then get ready. The driver is waiting for you. He spoke sternly. Wine pursed her lips and nodded as if he could see her. Don't nod, I can't see you. Okay, she mumbled. He hummed a response and declined the call. Wine went to get ready, and after some time the driver drove her to the address 𝐻𝐟 sent. Wine nervously walked inside when she saw 𝐻𝐟. Her face went pale, which didn't go unnoticed by 𝐻𝐟. He pursed his lips and sent a nurse to her while 𝐻𝐟 walked away. Wine let out a sigh of relief while the nurse escorted her to the doctor's cabin. Wine nervously entered, where the doctor in her late 30s was sitting in the armchair, staring at her with a gentle smile. Wine lowered her head, avoiding eye contact. Please have a seat, she said softly. Wine bit her lips and sat on the chair. So I'm Dr. Lee. You can call me Sujin. What is your name? Make yourself comfortable here. It's just you and me, Dr. Lee said with the same gentle smile, and poured the water for her. Something about the doctor forced her to look at her while 𝐻𝐟 was hearing it all on the call. Wine, she said in a low tone after drinking the water. Beautiful name, just like you. Wine's eyes smiled, but soon it disappeared. Well, first of all, let's be friends. Consider me as your friend. I don't want to be a doctor of this beautiful girl. She waved her hand in the air. Wine's lips curled into a slight smile. Your smile is so beautiful. Smile often. 𝐻𝐟 had an urge to pause and see her smile. He just realized ever since she came to Kim's mansion he hadn't seen her smiling. "Thank you," she mumbled, feeling a lot more comfortable with her. Dr. Lee began asking her questions about her favorite food hobbies. Wine replied shortly, "How many family members do you have?" She shook her head in denial. "I don't have any." Then felt a pang in his heart, thinking she doesn't consider him as family. "You have a stepbrother, 𝐀𝐟𝐭𝐞𝐲. How's your relationship with him?" Blood drained from Ryan's face with the mention of 𝐀𝐟𝐭𝐞𝐲's name. "Okay, let's not talk about it, forget it," she said and wrote something on the paper. "This is my personal phone number. You can call me anytime you want to talk to someone or feel lonely. I'll be waiting for your call," she said with a smile. Ryan nodded, holding the piece of paper. "Today's sessions end here. We'll have the next session in the park. I'll send you the time and location." Ryan nodded and stood. "And yeah, Ryan, I want you to take a diary and write 8 good things and 8 bad things that happened in a day." "Okay, doctor, thank you." Doctor nodded with a smile and Ryan walked out. After a few minutes, Kim walked in. "Please, Mr. Kim, have a seat." Kim sat, his face devoid of any emotion. "Mr. Kim, firstly, I'll suggest you to give her a friendly environment. Don't be aggressive or act rashly in front of Ryan." Kim fixed his gaze on her. "But I understand all this well with her. There's something more to her behavior. As soon as I mentioned your name, the blood from her face drained." She said in a serious tone, "What do you mean?" "I think something has happened between you two that made her fear you. Some kind of past trauma." Kim frowned. "Not at all. She has been this way since she entered our mansion at the age of 9. I barely got a chance to talk to her." Dr. Lee leaned back on the chair. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "Okay, I'll try to make her talk about it as soon as possible, but till then you must treat her like a friend." Kim nodded. "I'm scared. It's been more than a month since Ryan is seeing Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee arranged the sessions in the park restaurant, arcade, and her cabin. Today Dr. Lee called her by the lake. Thanks so many changes in Ryan. He often see her smiling while talking to Dr. Lee. He is glad at least one replied to him without stuttering or trembling. Now Thain came into the kitchen to make coffee when the maid stopped him. "Sir, don't go yet." He frowned. "Why?" "There is..." She stopped biting her lips. "What is there? Why do you even stop me?" He said with an unpleasant expression and entered. "Ma'am, sir went in," she said worriedly as soon as she saw Ryan. Before Ryan could speak, Thain's scream caught their attention. They both entered. "Someone bring my gun. It's Mouse here," he yelled and jumped on the slab. Ryan pressed her lips together to control her laugh, seeing this huge guy scared of a little mouse. As soon as Ryan's eyes met the maid's eyes, who was trying hard not to laugh, both of them erupted into laughter. "Hey, why are you both laughing? Bring my gun, I'll shoot it." They controlled their laugh and Ryan took the broom to shoo away the mice. "Kill it, Ryan." He stood on the slab while the poor mouse, who were startled by his screams, went out. Ryan kept the broom and laughed, followed by the maid. For a moment Thain was lost in her giggle. Soon he composed himself, his face flushed red due to embarrassment. "What? Why are you laughing?" He cleared his throat and asked in a serious tone, scratching his neck. They both stopped laughing and shook their heads. "Nothing." The maid nodded, standing straight, then jumped off the slab. "I'm a human after all. Can't I be scared of a mouse?" He tried hard to sound as serious as he could. Ryan pressed her lips to stop her smile. "No, sir. Actually, you fight, use guns and knives, so..." The maid left her sentence incomplete, scratching her hair. "So what?" "Go and look after the mouse." He dismissed her. Ryan also turned around to leave, but Thain heard her mumbling, "I never knew such a grown and huge man would be scared of mice." He grinned, thinking indirectly he was the reason she smiled and giggled. He shook his head and prepared to make coffee. Meanwhile, Ryan got ready and asked the driver to drive her to the location Dr. Lee sent. Thain also drove to the location. Wine arrived and saw Dr. Lee seated on one of the benches. She sat beside her and greeted her. "Hello, Dr. Lee." "Hi, Wine, how are you?" she asked with her specific gentle smile when she heard Thame's voice in her earphone. Do anything but get to the depths of her fear. "I'm fine." They began talking about random things when Dr. Lee asked her about the university. "How is your university going?" "Good. I heard you cried at the university before you had an appointment with me. Why? Did anyone bully you?" she asked, staring at her intently. "No one bullied me," she said in a low tone. Dr. Lee passed her a questioning gaze. "Actually, I was scared when they joked of locking me in the storeroom because I was too quiet, and the reason for screaming and running from there was one of the students' name." "What name?" "Yes, his name was Th, and it scared me." Th leaned on the seat of his car and pursed his lips. "If you are comfortable, can you tell me why you are so scared of Th? What has he done to you?" Wine clenched and unclenched her fist in her lap. Th impatiently waited for her to speak. "Wine," she held her hand gently. Wine parted her lips to speak. "Because he looks like his father, and he'll kill me someday." Dr. Lee frowned but said nothing. "His father killed my dad in front of me and locked me and my mom in the dark basement, starving us to death. He used to abuse and rape my mom and forced me to say it. He even molested me." She sobbed. Th was in utter shock. "He said his son Th will do the same to me one day. He'll abuse me, rape me, and kill me. I'll be his slave." Dr. Lee embraced her while Th declined the call, breathing heavily. He punched the steering wheel. "I knew you were ruthless, Dad, but I never thought you would stoop so low," he muttered, placing his head on the steering wheel. Meanwhile, after a few good minutes, Wine stopped crying and sniffed. "Listen, Wine," she held her both hands. "Th is not his father, nor he is the way his father said. Th is an angel, trust me. You have no idea how much he loves you. He can never hurt you. His father wanted to manipulate you. Take all those things out of your mind. Look at him from your point of view, not from his dad's point of view. You and Th just have each other in your lives. Trust him. He'll never hurt you. If you suspect something like that, you can always come to me." Wine listened to her silently. Dr. Lee tried her best to explain things to her. After Wine left, she called him. "Mr. Kim, what would you say about it? I knew my father was a merciless person, but I never knew he could do this. When he brought Wine to her mansion, he said her father got killed in a mission and her mother was killed by their enemies. I didn't think otherwise," he said in a low tone. "Do you believe what Wine said?" "Of course I do. My father never let me in the basement until he left Wine in our mansion. This could be the only reason. Anyways, I have his old workers. I can ask them as well." Dr. Lee hummed a response and instructed him to take care of Wine and win her trust. Time skip. More than a year passed and finally Wine was back to her normal self. They won her trust and they both built a strong bond. Wine realized she had no one other than Th, and eventually he became everything to her. She couldn't imagine a life without him. Meanwhile, Th tried hard to stop his feelings, but it only grew deeper by the time. He didn't see himself capable of Wine, as he thought she deserved better than him, and he decided to keep her away from him. He thought of it as a way of compensation for what his dad did to her family. These days, Wine has noticed Th's strange behavior. He comes home late and keeps himself busy at work as if avoiding her. Today he called Wine and told her to get ready as someone was coming to meet her. Wine spent the entire day crying after learning he was looking for a proposal for her. Though it was late at night and Wine was waiting for Th as he hadn't returned home yet. She swiftly stood, hearing the tires screeching sound. After some time the door opened, revealing priest Th. Wine gasped, seeing the bandage wrapped around his chest, peeking through his unbuttoned shirt. What happened to him? She asked Henry, who was helping him walk in. "Nothing, I'm fine," he said in a low tone. Henry helped him to his bedroom. "He got attacked by our enemies." Th passed him a death stare. "Why did you come here, Th? You should go to the hospital." He spoke through teary eyes. He was adamant on coming home. Henry shrugged his shoulders and helped him sit on the bed. Wine adjusted the pillows behind his back as he reclined. I will leave. Take care of him, Wine. If there's something you can call me, he said and walked out as Sam parted his lips to speak. Wine sat beside him and held his hand. Do you want something? She asked. He shook his head in denial, staring at their hands. How much he longed to hold her hand, but today, when she held it, he knew they weren't meant to be together. Does it hurt? He shook his head without taking his eyes off their hands. Wine tightened her grip around his hand and moved closer to him. Why are you crying? He asked as her tears fell on his hand. Wine cried silently, lowering her head. Wine. He held her chin and lifted her face. You're so careless these days. What will I do if something happens to you? She sniffed and said in a low tone, then leaned on the headboard, letting out a sigh. You'll get married, then you don't have to rely on me. He spoke blankly. I don't want to get married. Can't you understand at once? He looked at her. You can't stay with me forever. She grabbed his collar. I want to stay with you forever. I don't want anyone in my life. Why did you even send the guy today for a proposal? He smiled. I'm glad you're back to your normal self. That's not the answer to my question. He wiped her tears and placed his palm on her face. You deserve someone much better. He stopped and hissed as Wine poked his wound. Just shut up. You're better for me. You have been protecting me ever since I came here. She placed her head on his chest and cried. Wine, stop crying. I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm sorry. He caressed her hair. She lifted her head. Promise me you'll never talk about my marriage again. Wine, my father has done evil things to you and your family, and I want... She cut in. I don't remember past. I swear I'll leave this house. You're a liar. You don't love me. You don't even care about me. Of course I do love you. She buried her face in his chest. I want to marry you, or else no one in this world. She lifted her face. Fine, I'll marry you. He pecked her lips and smiled. I love you. I love you more. He pecked her lips several times and pressed his forehead against hers. Thank you so much for bringing me to life. I was fooled to fear you so much. She rubbed her thumb against his cheek. That was not your fault. I should have alerted you to the doctor earlier. I used to get angry seeing you scared of me. I'm sorry. It's alright. My behavior was enough to piss off anyone. She kissed his chin. By the way, were you really scared of the mouse a year ago? Yes, I'm still scared of it. She chuckled and squeezed his cheeks. You're so cute. He laughed and tickled her. The room was filled with Wine's giggles.